Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Jason. Uh, Yesterday for Christmas, I didn't get much footage. We really didn't do much. We just kind of had dinner, and sat around and talked, and it was nothing like too horribly interesting or boring. It was just what's been going on lately between everybody. Nothing really to freaking film on that. I did get a little film. I did film a bit of when I got there of the dogs and the tree and my mom cooking and everybody having a conversation in the living room. But it wasn't much to film. There wasn't as interesting as Christmas normally is. Normally, we pull out games and we will like play Monopoly or something for hours, and that's usually about. And it gets enjoyable, yelling at each other, laughing, having a good time. But this year, I guess we just wanted to mellow out and not really do anything extravagant because we're all tired. I could say my dad doesn't move around much after his back surgery he had, and my mom spent all day in the kitchen. And of course, the other family members who showed up really they didn't do much to help. So it was what it was as far as my family went. We were just wanting to eat, watch football, have a good time, and just chill out, which isn't bad. You gotta do that sometimes to mellow out. It was snowing. It did snow again yesterday while we were eating. There's still snow on the floor, on the ground, so it definitely is a white Christmas, something unusual. I'm not used to it because the last time there was even close to a white Christmas in Washington was in 2008. It did not snow in the area I'm in, but it was in 2008, and I wasn't even living here at that time. I was actually living in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I have lived in the desert. I have lived here in Washington where it's rained, and Chicago since I got into the Navy. So I will hopefully get to travel to more places and see more things and experience more as I go through the Navy. Uh, One of the subscribers wanted me to make a comment about joining the Navy and talking to your mothers. Now, you guys have to remember, and so do the moms. Moms have to remember too that y'all are growing up. Y'all are going into the Navy, and the Navy is helping you move forward with your life. So mom can't freak out too bad that you're going into the military, because military isn't all that bad. It gives you a sense of being. It gives you structure, and it gives you discipline in ways that your parents probably couldn't. And for some of you, it's a walk in the park because your parents have already done that for you. But it's not bad. You're not going to join, and the first thing they're going to do is send you off to fucking war. The Navy isn't like that. And neither is any of the other branches. They still have to train you how to freaking do things before they can even put you in a combat situation. So it still takes a little bit of time. It's not a draft. Nobody's drafted right now, and draft hasn't happened since Vietnam. Uh, so you're not worried. They shouldn't be worried about you going straight to war. That is not an issue. Yes, there are some things that happen in the world that make it seem like war is uh, at our front door. But as far as our government has gone and military branches, we have done a decent job at keeping it at bay so far. Uh, but when you go through, you get through school, they're going to teach you how to do everything you're going to learn. As far as my opinion, if you haven't noticed, I live with a retired Marine, and if somebody were to ask him, he would actually tell them that the Marines aren't for everyone. It takes a special kind of person to actually be able to be a Marine and uphold how the Marines' core values. Uh, that's his opinion. Me and him talked about it, and we chose that the Navy was the best option for me because I wanted to travel more. Marines don't, not all Marines travel as often as the Navy does. So that was one thing that led me towards it, but that also left to the Air Force because the Air Force travels too. So we were looking at it, and we looked at how technologically advanced the two are. So Air Force and Navy are probably pretty close in as far as technologically advanced we are. Now, the Navy, when it comes to how things are done and what is asked of us, the Navy is when we travel, we go by boat, so we're not flying over everything all the time really quickly, and we're not stuck in one spot. The Air Force, I knew a lot of guys when I lived in Vegas that were on the air base there in Nevada that they had been there 3 years out of their contract and not seen any other country. They had only seen the United States. And I was like, well, I kind of don't want that. I want to be able to get out there and be able to see other parts of the freaking world. I also knew guys that were in the Army that had been stationed in Europe, overseas. And they had a blast while they were there. So they were able, because Europe, you can go from country to country really easily because they're all grouped together pretty close. And they were able to do that. But I was like, well, I wanted to travel in a different way. And with the Navy, I'm able to get on a ship, be stationed at home port, like I'll be in San Diego, and then we get deployed and we can go from port to port and see different countries while still maintaining our stance on where we stand as a country no matter where we go. Yes, it's a lot harder work than the Air Force has sometime, but there's things the Air Force does that we don't do that I'm not in the Air Force, so I really don't know, so don't ask me anything about the Air Force. I'll tell you all about the Navy. I've noticed with the Navy, when it comes to getting up at the same time every day, they're very consistent about that. So I believe that's with any branch, it gets pretty consistent. But I've also noticed that the Navy likes to clean a whole lot. I don't know about the other branches, but we clean a lot more. And we clean with less chemicals than the rest of the world does. I swear to God we do. But what it teaches you is cleaning with less gives you an eye for the things that you're missing. So you get more detail oriented on what you're doing, which when you're in training, what that does is it gets you prepared to have that is what the Navy likes to call it the OCD mentality, but it's really not. It's basically attention to detail. You get the way that you see things, you get to see more detail behind it. And when you get used to doing something, there's a lot of people that I know that are, oh, I'll just do this and that's good enough for the government. And I go behind them and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'll start pulling things out, moving things, and showing them where they missed dirty spots, where they missed picking up trash and things like that. And a lot of them are, it's almost like a mind blowing that how are you able to spot that from ways away? And well, one, it's because I'm older than most of the guys. I have more of the experience, so I'm able to pick that out and see it. But that's just, it's one of the and since I've gone into the Navy, I've noticed I've become more meticulous with what I do, the way I do things. Everything has a place, and everything must go in that place. If it doesn't go in that place, you lose it. And if you lose it, then you're wrong. It'll eventually come around, nip you in the butt, and it might get you in trouble. It may get you in trouble to the point that it could cost you your career if you lose the wrong thing. And you don't want to do that. So everything has a place, and everything has how it is. You wear your uniform a certain way, and that's the only way to wear your uniform. You don't try to modify it. You can't modify it. So everything is done to a certain pattern. Well, in my the way I see it, it's actually better to do this because it gives you a sense of structure. Everything is in a place for a reason, and for every reason, there's a reaction, and for every reaction, there's what's the best way to put it? There's a sense of belonging. So you have all this. So as the chain of command, you learn the chain of command, how that works, and most businesses use this as a model for their chain of command, and I'm pretty sure other branches probably use it too. So again, I don't know about other branches, just what I've possibly heard or what people have told me, and even then, I still can't believe everything they say. But as I enjoy the Navy, even though it causes me to pull my hair out sometimes and makes me frustrated to the point to where I would like to throw somebody out a window. I don't do that, but it can get you frustrated. But at the end of the day, when you sit down and you actually think about it, you have a job that a lot of people aren't doing. There's a lot of people that refuse to be in the Navy. I don't know why the Navy is so undermanned. A lot of people only come into the Navy to be corpsmen. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. Um, but with being undermanned, that means there's a lot more demand on you to do a job. In the Navy, there's times I find that I'm working harder at doing one thing than I used to in the civilian world. Uh, Working old jobs in the civilian world, I have noticed that what the Navy gives me is consistency. I used to work a job and had fear in that job that I would not have a paycheck in 2 weeks because I might lose my job that day if the economy had fallen apart or if the management of that company did not know how to freaking do it properly, or if the supervisor was looking for every reason to get rid of me. If it wasn't one thing, it was another, and I was constantly having to watch myself and making sure that I was trying to be on top of it, chasing. I was basically having to, in a sense, be cutthroat with the other employees I was working with, the coworkers, because we didn't know who was staying and who was going. We didn't know if we made an accident, if we would still be around. In the Navy, they can't get away from accidents, and you're in a contract. So instead of kicking you out of the Navy for having an accident on something that half the time you can't control, they just move you to another position where you're less likely to cause that problem. And the Navy, they help you. Basically, the Navy is very good at helping you figure out who you are and what kind of worker you are and how you like to live. And uh, I do enjoy having a consistent paycheck and not having the worry that I'll be freaking on the streets tomorrow. Because tomorrow, the Navy's still here, I'm still earning a paycheck, and I'm still going through it. So that's something to do. I got a little off topic with what I was trying to say, but it's it popped up in my head and I had to go with it. But anyway, all you younger people that are coming into the Navy and think that your mom's not worried about you, your mom's always going to be worried about you, your dad's going to worry about you. Sending a letter home in boot camp isn't horrible. You just got to make sure that about 3 or 4 weeks before you graduate, you send a letter home telling them not to send you a letter in return, so that way when you go to to the command that you're going to after boot camp, you can send them a letter saying, this is my new address, send letters here. And parents have to understand that your children cannot always send letters, they cannot always text, they cannot always call. The Navy is very demanding. While they're in a student status like I am in school, they are more often able to do it. You can do those things. And it's not hard to pick up the phone and say, hey, how's it going? I call my dad a lot. My mom gets a little upset at me because she's like, you never call me. But then again, my mom also doesn't seem to like to answer the flipping phone at times. So It's, who am I going to call? Well, they both live in the same effing house, so I'm just going to call whoever answers the effing phone, is what I have fallen into. Which isn't bad, but remember, if it's your mom's birthday, that's the person you got to call. If it's your sister's birthday, that's the person you want to call. Make sure that when it comes to special events or special things that happen with your family, like birthdays or anniversaries or those things, make sure that you get a hold of them, let them know that you're there, you still care, and you're alive. That's the biggest thing. Is mom wants to know you're alive. She doesn't want to freaking find out that the last time she heard from you is when you left for boot camp, and then she had not heard from you since because you decided that you wanted to just never talk to him again, go off, get married, have a family, and then you ended up in Korea somewhere, and something bad happened with whatever branch you decided to go into, and you're gone. And the last she saw you was a hug before you went off to boot camp. She doesn't want that. Nobody ever wants that because you guys might think that it's bullshit, but I'll tell you the same thing that my dad used to tell me was, you don't understand until you have a family of your own. Well, I didn't have to get to the point of having a family of my own. I just had to get old enough to realize what the words he had told me were wise. But remember that with most of you, your parents are always going to be there. They're going to be there. They're going to hold it, and the parents have to understand that you have a job to do. It's a job. You're not in a war zone every second of your life. It's a job. You're working. You're bettering your life. You are looking at a career. What this is giving you structure for a career. And if you decide that Navy or the Marine Corps or the Army or the Air Force is not the career choice that you want to do, you just, by the end of your contract, you're like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I really don't like what I'm doing. You can get out, get another job in the civilian world doing something more like what you want to do. If it deals with school, the Navy will freaking help pay for the education. If you wait until after you get out, they may not pay for it all. The Navy does have it to where if you meet all the demands that they have and you don't have to do any more learning for the Navy for a little while, they will allow you to do college, and they pay for that tuition while you're in college, while you're in. So you don't even have to wait till you get out to have the education. There's a lot that goes on there. They have bonus pays. So there's times you can earn extra money for doing certain things. Like in the Navy, they have what you call sea duty. And sea duty is a counter for how long you are at sea. They give you an extra bonus for that pay, and that's sea duty. There's also hazardous duty pay. I believe all the branches can get hazardous duty pay if they end up in an area where there is a potential for injury or death based on the world around them in that part of the world. I really don't know. I know the Gulf is one place, especially for the Navy, but I don't really know too many of the places. I haven't been out to sea yet. I'm still in a command, but I'm trying to get this all worked out, and I figured for the moms out there, I would do it. I'm also going to put a clip in this video about Christmas, the little clip I took. I'm going to put it at the end of this video. But I figured that one was a pretty good topic to say, that you got to stay in touch with family because family's there forever. Whether you like it or not, family's there forever. They brought you in, they birthed you, they raised you, they paid for everything up until this point. And now that you're in the Navy, it's your turn to start taking care of yourself. And at some point, after you get your feet on the ground and you start moving and you actually get a good career, you can turn around and start returning some of those favors to your family, being able to buy your parents gifts that they wouldn't be able to buy themselves, or something of those natures. Unless you are a family where you don't have to do that, then you don't have to. But it's better than running around going from job to job and not knowing if you're going to make enough money that week to even be able to pay your bills. Yeah, you might be able to get food, but remember, rent isn't cheap. Especially where I live. I think the cheapest place I could find for rent was $500, and that up here in Washington was $500, and that was a little studio cot. Like it wasn't even. Yeah, it's like a shed. That I think I saw online. They took a shed and they insulated it. They ran power to it, and they made it to where cable and stuff could get out there, and you rent it out. It was very odd, but there's some people who like that simple of a life. It's simplicity and everything else. But I was looking at that, and I'm just like, you know what? I can't do it. Navy pays for me to have a place to sleep. They put a roof over my head, and all they ask in return is that I do everything that they ask, and they'll even give me a paycheck on top of it. I can't really beat it. They even feed me. I get food 3 times a day when I'm on base. So that just means I get to save more money. But I had other bills before going into the Navy because I waited so long. I waited until I was 26 to decide, hey, I want to go in the Navy. And then at 27, I'm in the Navy, and I already have student loans. I had car payments and stuff that I had. I've cut it all. I managed to cut it all before, a lot of it before I went into the Navy. So all I have right now is student loans, but that's a big burden. Even then, it's having to pay about $315. Actually, no, almost $350 a month on just student loans, and that's not including the extra stuff that I want to do. I can't play video games like everybody else because I'm out of money. I can't go out and drink like other guys can because it burns through my money so fast. And there's other things I like to freaking go out with people, have a good time. So in order for me to do that, I have to be very frugal with my money in other places. I can't go to the mall as often as others do and go buy the new J's. I can't do all that. But what I do is I save up my money, and then when everybody wants to go out, go to like a museum, or we go out somewhere where we all drink and we all have a good time. I have some money to go do that, so me and the people that I'm with can enjoy ourselves, but it's very difficult. You guys that are younger that have no bills, you guys are going to enjoy life. You guys are going to love it that you don't have to pay for the place you're staying. You don't have to pay for the food that they feed you. You don't have to pay medical. That's all done and paid for. You get to show up and you get paid. Guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks, and you sign up for what they call the TSP, and you start saving up for a retirement. So even if you don't stay in the Navy, you still get to keep some of that retirement that you earned while in the Navy. It's just based in an IRA or a 401k style. It's actually an IRA, but 401k is the best way to explain it because that's what most people have. But I think I've run a little long on this video. It seems to become more of a rant than something informative, in my opinion. But I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. This is the day after Christmas. I am going to continue enjoying myself on vacation, not being too worried about the Navy. And I hope you guys enjoy yourself too with the rest of your holidays. And I will see what I can put up further videos as far as things go. I'm supposed to be going to the outlet mall at some point to go get shoes. So I don't know. That might be something I put up, is me buying shoes, and then y'all can make fun of me for the for not going for getting a certain style of shoe or something. But please like, subscribe, and leave comments. I like it when you guys leave comments. It gives me more topics to talk about, and I'm more informative at that point, and hopefully I'm more entertaining as well. I really doubt it. I'm still getting used to walking around with a phone in front of me and people looking at me weird. But I do work a lot. I like working more, so there's a lot of time I don't make videos because I'd prefer to be working than just sitting around doing nothing. It drives me nuts when I'm sitting around doing nothing. So I will leave the video at this, and you guys can see a little bit of what it was on Christmas.
Oh, the narrated shows. Yeah, I was gonna watch part of that